I've talked about a lot of movies on this channel, like way more than I thought I did. I've covered quite a few, honestly, and it's actually becoming quite fun, if I'm being honest, to talk about movies on this channel. I have a lot of fun. But if you guys have watched any of these videos, you guys know that I love 80s movies and I love monster movies. I especially love 80s monster movies. Now, this is a movie that actually I have never heard of before, and I was surprised I didn't, because it is an 80s movie and it is a monster movie. And that movie is 1988 Blob. It's actually a remake. It's like, from what I read on the internet, it's partially a remake, partially like doing their own thing of a 1958 film of the similar topic, The Blob. So if you don't know, this movie is essentially Bob from Monster vs. Alien, his like evil uncle or some shit. I don't know. But this is basically a blob of gelatin that is very smart, can set traps, assimilates people, kind of like the alien does in The Thing. It's pretty gnarly. It's actually a very well-made movie. I mean, it's actually, after watching it, I'm actually amazed that it's not as well known as other movies, because it's fairly done. It does use a lot of practical effects, and honestly, I love movies that use practical effects, especially 70s and 80s movies, because back then, when people wanted to get stuff done in a movie, a lot of practical effects were done really, really well. And after watching a lot of movie videos on Dead Meat on his talking about movies, and he talks about the practical effects that were in some of those movies, I mean, it's difficult. The amount of time people put into those effects are insane, and I feel like it's the same thing done in The Blob. A lot of these practical effects are done really, really well. Now, they do use some green screen aspects. I don't think they use them a lot. I think they only use them towards the end of the movie when the blob gets like massive, to the point where using practical effects I think would be next to impossible. So I know they use a green screen, and it's not, obviously it's not the best because it's 80s green screening. And if you know anything about movies back then, I mean, the green screening wasn't really the best at all. I don't think green screening became really good until the 2010s, if I'm being honest. So it's a really well done movie. I mean, if we're gonna talk about actors, you know, the acting in it, it doesn't use, I don't think, any famous actors from that decade. I think it uses a lot of just normal. When I say actors that nobody knows, I mean it's just like, they're not like popular actors like you'd see like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone. They were just like, I don't know. I don't know if these actors in these movies have been in other movies throughout the decade or any other. They might have been. I haven't really looked up in the people in the movies if they were in other stuff or not. But it's a really well done movie for acting wise. Maybe a little bit corny every now and then, but it's definitely not the corniest. Like, it is a movie that I could watch every now and then. Like, it's not a movie I'd watch over and over and over, but it's a movie I'd watch every so often. It's incredibly well done. One of the things they do in that movie that a lot of other movies don't, because it's kind of considered crossing a line within monster films and like, in any filmmaking, and that is essentially killing a kid. It is actually crazy because the protagonist is this older sister, and she goes to rescue her brother and his friend from the blob. And the brother and the friend are probably like, I think they're around either 10 to 14, somewhere along that age range. They're about 10 to 14. I think 12, 13 might be actually right around there. I'm not exactly sure, but when they're running from the blob, they're running through a sewer, and the friend gets like captured by the blob, and the blob like absorbs people, kind of like Majin Buu does in Dragon Ball Z, just a little bit more gross. So the kid gets dragged in the water, and the sister goes back in for the friend, and she's in the water, and the kid comes up like half digested, like all burnt. It is gnarly, and it's so weird that they let that in a movie. I can't think of a lot of movies that actually went and cross that line. It's actually pretty insane. I'll actually show you a clip of the scene. I mean, that right there is gnarly in itself. It's crazy. There aren't a lot of movies that go over that line. It's just like, I know the kid's not like actually dead in the scene, but I mean, he gets pulled under, and essentially, if you're taken by the blob, I mean, you're not surviving. That's like set in this movie. Once the blob gets you, it gets you. You're not safe. You're not. But no, this movie is actually, it does a good job with the suspense too. I mean, it definitely has the corny 80s kind of feel to it, like a lot of movies had at that time. Like, it does have that corny kind of, sometimes cringy every now and then, but it holds up as a pretty decent movie. It's produced really well. I mean, the effects, the acting, the story. I think it's pretty well done, in my honest opinion. I mean, I've said before, I'm not a big movie critic. Like, I don't really critique a lot of movies. So maybe I'm just biased. So maybe it could be the worst movie ever. But because I'm a simple-minded person, I just like go along with it. But no, it's a really good movie, and I encourage you, if you like monster movies or 80s movies or both, or just movies in general, to check this one out. One thing that actually I like about it is it's kind of obscure with the monster. And I kind of have the same feeling to spider movies. Like, I hate spiders, I really do. But there's a lot of movies on the Sci-Fi Channel, like Lavalantula and all that fun stuff. And don't get me wrong, those movies are awfully made. They're movies that are so bad, they're fun to watch. But the reason I like those type of movies, along with this one, is that it doesn't follow a traditional monster type of thing. It doesn't follow that. It creates its own kind of monster. Like, you know, in standard monster movies, it's always like either a giant beast or, you know, aliens or something like that. You know, that's like the standard. And the Blob, along with spider movies, you know, they follow this thing that's kind of obscure, which the Blob being in itself something weird and just you've never seen it before. Same with spider movies. Like, spider movies, again, they're not really the best movies, but I love the aspect of spiders being the main monster. It's a cool concept to me. I would love to see a movie that utilizes that in a cool way, in a good way. Like, there are some fun movies with giant spiders that are pretty fun. They're pretty fun to watch, but I'd love to see one that would be really well done. But that's all I have for this video. If you guys all enjoyed, I encourage you to go check it out. This movie is a really decent movie, I would say. But thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, and as always, stay awesome.